Alrighty, party peoples of the interwebs, Viva Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler, on my new not so favorite toy. It's pretty cool, but I prefer a mountain bike that actually allows you to get exercise. So a small update and is something of a white pill in a world that seems filled with black pills, although for the last 2 weeks, we have had white pill after white pill. I had Katie from Universal Ostrich Farm on the channel. It was last week, talking about her situation coming out of Canada. For those of you who missed the interview, the CFIA, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, went to this farm in British Columbia, Edgewood, British Columbia. I say not in the middle of nowhere, but relatively isolated, to quell any concerns for the H5N1 pandemic spreading to humans that is at the root of this particular story. It's an ostrich farm that has been in the family for 3+ decades. There's over 400 ostriches that live on this farm. Big, beautiful ostriches, some of which are 34 years old, have been in the family for 3.5 decades. All right, this farm is open to the public at times and had something of an issue where at some point in time, something like 69 ostriches fell ill and died. They notified the authorities to say, yeah, we've got an issue. Come in and take some samples and tell us what to do. They've got another 400+ healthy ostriches still there. The CFIA comes in. It's an agency, one of these Soviet communist-style agencies that answer to no one, except luckily a court did intervene. The agency comes in and does 2 PCR oral and anal swab tests on 2 of the deceased ostriches. Comes back positive for H5N1 avian flu, whatever. The CFIA then issues an order through their administrative process that the ostrich farm has to cull all of the ostriches on the farm. Healthy, which they all are at this point in time, beautiful ostriches, over 400, and they had until February 1st to do it. The order was issued, I think, like January 27th. They had an unreasonably short period of time to slaughter over 400 healthy ostriches. I absolutely hear an animal in the forest over there. And the story kind of went viral in the sense that Rebel News picked it up. It triggered public outrage in Canada and hopefully internationally, and rightly so, that this administrative body comes in and orders a family to slaughter over 400 of their healthy ostriches because 2 allegedly tested positive for the H5N1 virus on a farm that's isolated, not for human consumption, not open to the public. And this family is like, we can't do this. These are not just animals. You don't just go in and cull, chickens. Although even some orders have been issued to cull chickens because of the H5N1, you start to get the sneaking suspicion that the government is coming in and ordering the slaughter, the wholesale slaughter of massive numbers of animals to generate the panic that they might need to sell the next pandemic, let's call it that. So they were doing the rounds. I had Katie on and Carrie, the liaison, the legal liaison for the family, to talk about it. And the story was nothing shy of an absolute atrocity. The idea of killing 400+ healthy animals, let alone the fact that they are 300+ pound ostriches. I don't know the logistics of how you do this. I was posting the shorts from the interview. I posted the interview everywhere to make it known that what's going on in Canada is insane.
I mean, I have to ask logistically, are you supposed to shoot them with a shotgun, or are you supposed to cut their heads off?
They don't know, and I'm going to be honest, we don't know. Biggest question to the world is, how do you go out to your 400 cattle, your 400 goats, your 400 sheep, and you look at them and they're eating normal, and they're acting normal, and off 2 tests, you're supposed to go out there by yourself and you're supposed to kill them. There's no humane way to kill 400 healthy animals.
Make you slaughter your own animals. You're supposed to then get in an excavator and dig up 9 meters deep, 40 different pits, bury the carcasses of 400 ostriches 9 meters deep. What level of topsoil must there be?
I think it's 2 meters. They don't know the ostrich. So let me just put out there, you can't walk in there with them. They're extremely dangerous. They have to know you. A gunshot goes off. We're going to have ostriches hit cotton fences. Like, they are a very nervous animal.
The family petitioned the federal court and yesterday had their hearing. I got to listen to a portion of it, but not all of it, and I was mildly optimistic that it looked like the judge was getting it when the judge was asking the administrative body, the CFIA, or at least the attorneys for the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, what exactly is the issue here? What's the urgency? And why is it that this family needs to slaughter their animals, some of which have been in the family for 3.5 decades? Well, the white pill of the week, whether or not it had anything to do with the public pressure, the media coverage of this story, the public outrage, the public outcry to what the communist government of Canada was ordering a British Columbia ostrich farm to do, the federal court issued a temporary injunction enjoining this order from the CFIA until such time as the order itself can be reviewed for legality, necessity, etc. There's a couple of legal issues in here. The order might violate provincial independence, might violate provincial laws. The order needs to be justified. And when you go in for an injunction, I got the court order here. When you go in for an injunction, you gotta, show the urgency, the balance of inconvenience, which is clear here because you can't unslaughter 400 ostriches. The court came in and basically said, we're satisfied that this does not meet the criteria. Upon considering that the applicant has demonstrated that the main application raises at least two serious questions. First, whether the notice requiring disposal of the animals was reasonable in light of the discretion available to the respondent to require either disposal or vaccination of the animals under a section of the law. And upon being satisfied that the applicant has demonstrated that irreparable harm would result if the injunction is not granted in the form of a closure of a 25-year-old business and the loss of the applicant's decades-long efforts in cultivating a unique herd of ostriches. So the federal court has enjoined the CFIA from enforcing the wholesale slaughter of 400 plus animals. And by the time the judicial review is heard on the order itself, any rationale for the order in the first place will be moot, academic, because if it was a fear of the avian flu spreading and infecting Canada, by the way, just parentheses, one person in all of Canada has been hospitalized from the avian flu, the H5N1 flu, and they didn't even contract it through contact with chickens. By the time they get around to reviewing this order judicially, any ostensible urgency will no longer be there. Urgency in that if there is an infection among this flock, that, they need to kill all of them overnight. Just kill them, bury them. So by the time it's heard, there will be evidence that there is no infectious concern here, that these ostriches are in fact healthy, and not just healthy, might have natural immunity or natural antibodies to fight the H5N1, if in fact that's what killed the other two ostriches, which is questionable in and of itself because those PCR tests, they tend to give a bit of false positives every now and again because of the cycle rate and whatever. So it looks like public scrutiny, public outcry, and the court system has finally worked to spare over 400 ostriches their lives, and this farm, Universal Ostrich Farm in Edwards, British Columbia, their business, their pets, for lack of a better word, members of their family. The court system finally worked. We'll see what happens between now and the judicial review of the order itself, but something tells me that the government might go and pick on another target at this point in time. Which goes to show you that public mobilization, public outcry, that big, beautiful spotlight being shone on government abuse, administrative bodies that just run amok, it can actually yield some positive benefits. So with that said, beautiful sunset behind me, and I'm going to end this with a video. Actually, on the way over here, I spotted a red-breasted hawk just chilling by the side of the canal, and I got mildly close to it. It didn't look like it was, rushing to fly away, and then I noticed it's eating a snake. And we'll see if it's there on the way back, but beautiful Florida, people. It is glorious. Viva Fry. Make sure that you are liked, shared, subscribed. You got notifications turned on, and now I'm going to get home before it gets dark. Peace out, peeps.